We're in. Is it green? Do we have green check marks? I think we do. Boom! We're live. Hey, what's up, Facebook? What's up, YouTube? I don't know who's watching. Hi. What's going down? We hope you're well. Sorry we're running a little bit late today. As you can see, we've got a bit of an extra setup. We're doing something special. We're doing something very special. Freddie is in the unusual position of playing the guitar today. I got the power. You do have the power, Freddie.
Just for once.
For today. For today. Yeah, that's right. That's green. That's green. Where's the string? Green, green. Where's the string? Man, come on now. That's on. Boom. All right, be quiet. There we go. Hey, Andrea, how you doing? Krista, Mary, Krista. Guys, I'm so sorry we're late. It's nice to see you all the way in Indiana. Andrea, hope you're having a great day. Max, what's going on, young man? We're going to tell you a story. Guys, we're telling a Hungarian folktale today, all right? So get ready. There's a big setup that we've done. I'm just sending a couple of things out, and then we're going to get right into explaining to you what we're going to do and why we're going to do it. How you doing? How is everything? How is Indiana? How's the weather? Are you having a nice day? We've got pretty nice weather here today. A little bit on the chilly side, I would like to note, though. A little bit chilly. Freddie, how you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I went to the doctor today. Everything seems kind of normal.
Well, that's nice. That's nice when you get good news from the doctor.
That's pretty good.
That's always great. Let's see. Share. Share your story. Blam. Mr. Palumbo, welcome to the show. How are you, sir? You've got a very familiar name. It's a nice name. Rolls off the tongue. I like it, I have to say. Give us a second, folks. We're just making sure that we are distributed on all of our proper channels.
Can we start with our song at least?
Well, I can't do computer things and sing at the same time. It doesn't work very well.
Okay. Sorry.
But
sorry to hear that.
Again, forgive the delay. There's a lot of setup. Our budget for the production manager has been slashed, so it's just the two of us. Unfortunately, our sound engineer, lighting engineer, producer, executive producer, media management, promoters, promotion, marketing, all the departments have been consolidated into one role done by us. So you've got
two-headed giant.
Yeah. So things take a little while. Ayana's here. What's up? Okay. All right. This is great. So welcome, folks. It's so nice to see you here. This is our first time doing the live stream from 3 platforms. We are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, and we are also with our friends on TikTok.
That's right.
Hello, TikTok.
Hello,
it's
TikTok.
a pleasure to see you.
Pleasure to see you.
Let's begin, as we always begin with the beginning. Feel free to write in comments. Tell us it's a rainy day in Indiana. I'm sorry to hear that, Krista. Hopefully we can help your rainy day feel a little bit more exciting. But Freddie, we've got to begin with the beginning. But in order to do that, I need my iPad. Hello. Welcome to the show. Hello. Welcome to the show. One more time. Hello. Welcome to the show. Hello. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, everybody. How are you? What's going on? We are very, very excited. We're doing something we haven't really done before. We are going to tell the story. The story that we are going to tell you is a Hungarian folktale. And let's zoom in. We can tell you what it is. We've drawn a picture on the title. Hold on. Freddie, let's bring him in. Get over here. It is Almafi and the Flying Palace.
That's great. That was a marvelous intro.
I thought the timing was good.
That was a marvelous.
I thought the timing was good for that.
Perfect.
Now, Amalfi, I'm not even going to tell you any background about this story. What I'm going to tell you is that, there are a few ways to tell stories. You can tell them by simply reading them out of the book. You can show stories with pictures. You can act them out on a stage. Sometimes stories are told on television screens or on movie screens. Sometimes people who don't hear, they tell stories with their hands, okay? And sometimes, every once in a while, the story is told with music. We are going to combine two ways of telling stories. I'm going to read a story, and Freddie is going to handle most of the musical management. He's going to be our soundtrack. He will be our orchestra. He will be the conductor.
The sound guy.
The sound guy. All of these things. And I will be providing some assists with my handy-dandy mallet and my handy-dandy hands?
Handy-dandy hands.
Handy-dandy
hands.
Okay, hold on. I need to make sure I can easily access all the answers. Okay, we're good. So you got your thing ready?
Got your thing. Got my thing.
And you're going to notice one particular instrument here that looks like it might be from outer space. This particular instrument is made by a company called Moog, and it is the evolution of something called the theremin. You're going to pay attention when you start hearing strange sounds. Look what Freddie does with his hands, and you'll notice something very unique about the way this instrument is played. And we can talk about that a little bit later, maybe on the podcast after the show. So, without further ado, we would like to present to you Amalfi and the Flying Palace. Alice. Once upon a time, music, please. Once upon a time, beyond the seven seas, there was a poor couple. They had no possessions. Neither did they have any children, but they did have an apple tree. One fine autumn day, the poor woman was standing under the tree when quite suddenly 3 apples dropped to the ground in front of her. They split open, and behold, 3 lovely baby boys emerged from them. The poor couple marveled and rejoiced. The first thing they did was to name the children, and they both agreed that each of the boys would be called Amalfi, which means son of the apple. They would be called first Amalfi, second Amalfi, and third Amalfi. The children grew and flourished. They looked so alike that no one except their parents knew them apart. When the boys had reached their 18th year, their father spoke to first Amalfi. "My son, you see how poor we are. It is time that you went out to seek your fortune." His mother baked him a barley loaf, and he took his farewell. He journeyed all day, and by nightfall he was tired and hungry. He sat down by the roadside and pulled the barley loaf out of his satchel. He had hardly taken a few mouthfuls before he saw a white-haired old man standing in front of him. "Good evening, my son," greeted the old man. "It is indeed good, father," said the boy. "Yes, my son, I can see that it is for you because you have something to eat. But I have not eaten for these last 3 days. I have only this loaf. But what I have, I will share with you." The old man thanked him, and having eaten, spoke. "I know that you are seeking your fortune, my son, and perhaps I can help in return for your kindness. Stay here until night comes and watch for the rising of the side star. Whichever way its shaft points, that will be the way for you to go. You will find your fortune in that direction. But mark, when you come to a swiftly flowing stream, do not be afraid, but step into its torrent bravely. It is an enchanted stream and will bear you as if it were a meadow." The boy listened attentively as the old man continued. "In the center of the stream, you will find the most beautiful of all water lilies. Do not be tempted to pick any, for if you do, you will be lost. Once you are safely on the other side of the stream, you will see a meadow where every blade of grass or rose is made of silver. You will be enchanted, but do not be tempted to pick a single blade of grass. For if you do, you will perish. Beyond that meadow, you will come to a field of gold. But again, do not be tempted to pick a single blade of grass or rose, for if you do, you will suffer. But if you manage to get across it, you will find your fortune on the other side. The boy thanked the white-haired old man, who, saying farewell, vanished into thin air. First, Amalfi waited for the rising of the side star and set out in the direction of its shaft. He soon found the swiftly flowing stream, but its raging torrent threw up such spume and spray that he doubted the old man's assurances. But he thought, what will be, will be. So he stepped in, and sure enough, he managed to walk as if on dry land. And there, in the center, were the water lilies, each of them more enchanting than the next. He again remembered the old man's warning, and he again doubted it. What harm, he thought, could a beautiful lily do to me? So he picked one and placed it into his buttonhole. But lo! He was instantly changed into a fish and vanished into the spray. Time passed and there was no sign of first Amalfi. So the father spoke to second Amalfi. My son, go and seek your fortune and search for your brother. Second Amalfi set out. He took the same road as his elder brother had taken. He too had a barley loaf, and he too sat down by the roadside. The white-haired old man appeared in front of him just as he had appeared to his brother, and they shared the loaf exactly as his elder brother had shared his. Second Amalfi received the same instructions from the old man. Having warned him about the water lilies, the old man added, Alas, your brother picked one of them, and so he is lost. Guard yourself, my son, lest the same fate befalls you. The old man said farewell and vanished into thin air. Second Amalfi reached the swiftly flowing stream and managed to cross it. He was sorely tempted to pick one of the enchanted lilies and already reached out to do so, but just in time, he remembered his brother's fate. When he reached the silver meadow, however, he was quite unable to restrain himself. And as he plucked a silver rose and placed it in his buttonhole, he instantly turned into a silver snake and slid behind some stones. So now 2 Amalfi brothers had disappeared. It was the turn of the third Amalfi to seek his fortune now. He took his barley loaf and set out on the same road which his brothers had taken. He met the same old man with the white hair and received the same instructions. The old man added, I see you are of stout heart, so perhaps you will be wiser than your 2 brothers. Amalfi remembered the old man's warning as he crossed the stream in the silver meadow. But when he came to the golden meadow, he found he could hardly restrain himself. He reached out for a rose and only just recalled in time the warning he had been given. So he crossed safely to the field of gold and found himself on the other side. A vast and empty desert greeted him. Not a blade of grass, not a single tree, just a limitless stretch of sand. Did the old man deceive me after all? He asked himself. Surely I will perish in this emptiness. But he continued on his way. His feet sank deep in the sand with every step he took. And with every step he took, the sun beat down mercilessly upon him. At night it was bitterly cold, but he marched on regardless. By the following day he was hungry. By the third, he was so exhausted that he sank to the ground. How long he lay there he knew not, but he suddenly heard a tremendous humming in the air. He looked up into the copper-colored sky to see what could be the cause of such mighty rumbling. To his amazement, he saw a beautiful palace floating through the air, and only when it was about to disappear did he catch sight of a lovely young maiden sitting on its balcony. In that single moment, he felt himself falling desperately in love with her. And he knew that so long as life remained, he would pursue that vision. He got up and with renewed vigor continued his journey in the desert. By the next day, however, his gnawing hunger blurred his eyes, and he rubbed them in disbelief when he thought that a bird had landed in front of him in the sand. Could it be a hen? An ordinary farmyard chicken? Could some mysterious agency be sending him something to eat? The hen sat there just waiting. Amalfi could have reached out to devour it, but he felt sorry for the bird, especially as it seemed to be nearly as exhausted as himself. "Come, little hen," he said softly, "I shall not hurt you. Let me carry you instead, so we may seek some refuge together." Instantly, the bird disappeared. In its place stood the white-haired old man. "I came to test you once more, my son. Your pity overcame your greed, and I shall grant you a wish in return." Amalfi pondered for a moment. He could have asked for food. He could have asked the way to find the maiden in the flying palace, but instead he said, "If it is in your power, sir, release my two brothers from their enchantment and restore them to my parents." "You choose well," replied the old man, "and I grant your wish. Your brothers are already on their way home, and if you continue your journey bravely, you will find your fortune." Saying which, he disappeared into thin air. Amalfi continued for another day. He was near to collapsing again when in the far distance ahead he saw an enormous castle. He gathered all his remaining strength and made his way toward it. When he finally reached it, he was filled with wonder and surprise. There was not a single window in the whole of the edifice, just a tiny door tucked away. No matter, he thought, he'll open it. And when he did, he found himself in a colossal and dazzling hall filled with light. But there was not a single window. He saw a row of tables in front of him and walked up to them. On the first table, there was a bowl of porridge and a tablet by its side with some writing on it. It said that this was the fairy's porridge, and he who ate it would never be hungry again. The boy ate voraciously, and when he had finished all the porridge, he truly felt as if satisfied for all time. He walked to the second table. There was a bottle with some liquid in it and a tablet which said that this was the fairy's drink, and he who drank it would never be thirsty again. Amalfi did not hesitate and drank the lot. He truly felt as if his thirst had been quenched for all time. The third table had a small jar containing some ointment. The tablet by its side said that this was the fairy's ointment, and that he who anointed himself with it would obtain the strength of 1,000 men. The boy took the jar and anointed himself. So he came to the fourth table. It held a sword. This was the fairy's sword. And the tablet said it was invincible. The boy took it and buckled it on his belt. And the fifth tablet had a small jug containing some oil. The tablet said that whoever anointed this upon their eyes should see everything, even into the depths of the earth and the waves. Without hesitation, he dabbed it on his eyes. And then he realized the value of what had been given. The old man with the white hair had truly led him to a fortune. He felt perfectly equipped now to continue his search for the maiden on the balcony of the flying palace. Having rested, he set out on his journey. Amalfi roamed the world for a full year, searching for his love. Through many dangers and adventures, he had reason to be grateful to the fairy sword in his hand and for the strength of 1,000 men with which he vanquished his foes. He had no worries about food or drink, but he had an aching void in his heart. Come what may, he must find the flying palace. One day he came to the foot of an immense mountain. With its peak in the clouds, surely he thought he would be able to glimpse the flying palace from the summit. It took him 7 days to reach the top of the mountain. It was wreathed in swirling clouds as he looked all around. The power which the fairies had given his eyes made it possible for them to penetrate the dense ramparts of the cloud, and he saw a limitless horizon. And as he looked, he saw the flying palace far away, coming towards him. The summit on which he stood was so high that the palace was as Amalfi's own level as it came ever nearer. When it was almost within reach, Amalfi leapt off the topmost rock and landed in the courtyard of the palace itself. He got up and looked around. There was no one to be seen. So he made straight for the door and strode through innumerable apartments until he reached the balcony. There sat the young girl, weeping. "My dearest heart," asked Amalfi, "why do you weep?" "Because," sobbed the girl, "I have been chained to this palace, this balcony, for the last 3 years." And indeed, Amalfi saw she was bound hand and foot by stout chains secured with massive locks. There was no need to search for a key. His strength was key enough. And in an instant, the girl was free. "Now tell me, my dearest heart, how came you to be in this accursed place?" The girl told her story thus. "I am a princess. My father, the king, went out hunting one day when he encountered a monster. He shot an arrow at it. The monster warned my father that he would pay dearly for wounding him, and that he would abduct his only daughter, no matter how well guarded she may be. At first, the king dismissed this with a smile, knowing how secure his castle was, but day by day he became more anxious. Although he never told the castle or his wife or his child the cause of his worries. He kept the strictest watch over her, and she was accompanied wherever she went. But later he became convinced that perhaps the monster had forgotten about the threat and relaxed his guard over her. So she stole out to take a walk in the royal gardens all by herself. She told Amalfi, "Suddenly I heard a tremendous humming in the air. I saw the flying palace, which seemed to make straight for me. I descended with a few feet of me, and monster leapt out and grabbed me up in its arms. When I came to my senses again, I found myself here on this balcony. I was not chained to begin with, and was allowed to walk on my own through the apartment and through the palace, but the monster would visit me daily and demanded I become its wife. I would not listen, and I tried to escape, which is why it chained me to the balcony. Otherwise, I am treated well, although he still comes to see me every day to see if I have changed my mind. But even if we fly around until doomsday, I shall never become its wife." "Where can I find this monster?" asked Amalfi darkly. "There are 100 rooms in this place, and he lives in the 100th. He is invincibly strong. He gets his strength from the wine of a barrel which is kept in the cellar. If you mean to fight the monster, go down and drink the wine. Perchance you might vanquish him then." Amalfi found the cellar and saw the barrel. He lifted it and took a good draught. Although he already had the strength of 1,000 men, he now felt as if his muscles were made of veritable iron. He went up in search of the monster, Amalfi found the 100th room and strode in. The monster was asleep, and Amalfi woke him up with a kick. "How dare you wake me from my sleep?" asked the monster. "Because one of us must die." The monster was still lying down. "I see that you are only a mortal human, but a brave one. We shall put this to the test." He took up an iron ball, which weighed a ton. "Whichever of us can hurl this and break that wall shall be the victor." He swung it round, and the ball became deeply lodged in the masonry. It was Amalfi's turn. He plucked the ball out and hurled it with such force that the wall parted and the ball disappeared. Only then did the monster take a good look at his opponent. "I see that you are strong. Come, let us wrestle in the courtyard." And so they grappled. Amalfi fought with the strength of 1,000 men, but the monster with that of 1,200. He threw Amalfi to the ground. The boy was dazed for quite a while, but slowly he got to his feet again. He faced the monster again, this time feeling that he had acquired the strength of 1,500 men, and flung the monster with such force that he never got up again. And so the monster gave up its wicked soul. Amalfi ran forthwith back to the girl's balcony. He declared to her, "My dearest heart, I have been roaming round the world for more than a year to find you, and if you so will, only the spade and the great bell will ever separate us." By now, the girl was also in love with Amalfi. They swore eternal faith to each other. Amalfi wanted to stop the palace from its eternal flight, but the girl said she did not know how to halt the two mighty wings which propelled it. "If there is no other way, I shall have to cut them off. And I will do so if we ever see land again." Some days later, as they sat on the balcony, Amalfi sprang up. "I can see land! What's more, I can also see a city." It was 3 days before the flying palace caught up with Amalfi's keen sight, before the girl saw it too. She told Amalfi that they were flying over her father's city. At this, Amalfi drew his sword, and with 2 mighty strokes, he cut off the wings of the palace. When the king below turned around, he heard a tremendous humming in the air, and he ran into the courtyard to see what could be causing it. Imagine his joy when he saw his daughter step down from the flying palace, accompanied by a handsome young man. There was great rejoicing. And after the king had heard the girl's story, he folded Amalfi into his heart. The king ordered that his city should be garlanded with flowers and bunting, and Amalfi sent for his parents and his 2 brothers to come to the wedding and to settle into the city to remain near him. There was a great celebration, and they all lived happily ever after. The end. Hey, man. Please give it up for Mr. Freddie Fretless Date.
Give it up for Mr. Guy Palumbo.
That was fun.
That was fun.
That was fun for us. We hope it was fun for you. TikTok, I don't know how many of you guys are watching, but
I destroyed the castle too early.
you did. It's all right. I was like,
well, whatever.
That's the way it goes. So, for those of you watching, if any of you kids are wondering, we used a lot of different sounds. Before we did this, we read the story a few times, and we tried to pick which sounds would be best for which themes, which characters. Fortune, you would always hear me ring this cymbal because it's sort of a grand thing. And then Freddie has, of course, this wonderful thing, the Taramini. Oh, wait.
Turn it up.
Wait. As you can notice, we're not touching this to play it. It's a really cool device, and it gives us a lot of special effects that we can use. So Alicia's online too. So we hope you guys enjoyed this. Freddie has got to run again. I am going to be doing the show, the podcast on YouTube and Facebook in a few minutes. I'm going to make myself a cup of coffee and talk about a little bit of the background of what we did, why we did it, why we think this is important. We'd love to know if you think that we should do a lesson like this again and what stories you would suggest we do it with. Ayana, we know you are in childcare. Maybe there are some stories that you would suggest that are somewhat shorter. We know this was a bit of a longer story, but we wanted something kind of epic, right? Oh. But we love your suggestions. What's the instrument Freddie played? Which one? Ayana, are you talking about this one? Are you talking about this?
That one,
This is called the theremin. It's made by a company called Moog. They've been in the electronic device and sound effect business for a long, long time. They make really, really cool stuff. I think they've been around since the 70s, I want to say. I could be wrong.
Yes.
At least the 70s, maybe even the 60s. But yeah, so that's called a theremin, and this is the evolution. It's called the theremin. And then, as you can see, we used acoustic instruments, we used cymbals, we used our homemade kazoo, and our drum, Freddie's classical guitar, and just a bit of creativity to sort of give the story a vibe. We'd love to hear your feedback. TikTok, if any of you have braved through us with this whole thing, if you liked it, you didn't like it, we'd love it if you sent us a direct message. You can get to our YouTube link from the bio. And that's about that. So thanks for hanging with us. Again, we'd love to hear about new stories. If you like what we do, if you know someone who's got kids, kindergarten groups, school groups, parenting groups, music groups, please share what we're doing with them, because we'd really like to grow so we could do this all the time. Like we would really like to figure out a way to make this a full-time job and not have to think about other things and really focus on this. And we'd love your help if you could help us do that. Tonight, we've got a concert from Another Mother on YouTube and Facebook, 8 o'clock. We're doing it with the Swedish culture group, and that's what's up. If you haven't joined us before, if this is your first time, we've got a link to PayPal if you want to help us through these strange times that we're in. Every little bit helps. If it's tight for you the way it's tight for all of us, then just vibe and enjoy what we do. That's cool too. I'm adding that link in here. Kaboom! Kaboom! I'm going to make myself a cup of coffee, and then I'm going to get back on another live stream and talk about this. If you want to ask me questions, any of that stuff, please feel free. I love talking to you folks. So have a great one.
Thanks TikTok, thanks YouTube, thanks Facebook.
Oh, goodbye.
I'm sorry.
Oh, man. No. Let's just do the tongues.
Okay.
Give me a New Orleans beat. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Goodbye. We'll see you next time. 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 See you for the show at 8 o'clock tonight. We'll be playing music for an hour. Come on through!
Thanks for listening.
Peace. See you later. All right, end of the stream. I know you got to go.
It's all right. I can help you with.
Thank you, Angela, Flor Soler, Carol, Krista, Mary, Mr. Palumbo, Andrea, Max, Ayana. So nice for you guys to come join us again. It was really cool. And for all you new people, thanks for hanging. Peace.